Hello and welcome back to One Chord a Week. I'm afraid we're reaching the end of this series pretty soon. I'm racking my brain every day now trying to find a chord that I might have forgotten or I might have left behind. And today it's one of those, and it's probably not my favorite chord of all time, but it's still useful to learn. As you know, chords are not only useful as chords, but as ear training devices, and they will open up your mind to new sounds. So it's always better to have one more chord than one less. So let's begin. Today's chord is called Major 7th Sharp 5, or sometimes Augmented Major 7th chord, and it's basically what the name says. It's a Major 7th chord with a Sharp 5. Just a bit of advice before we begin: don't confuse this chord with the 7th Sharp 5, which is a dominant chord. This is actually based on the Major 7th chord. And if you don't know the difference, you should check out these two chords. The Major 7th chord, which is the basis for what we're doing today. We're starting from that and modifying the 5th. And then you should watch this video on the dominant Sharp 5, which is kind of an altered chord, although we'll have a big video on altered chords before this series is over. Okay, so this chord is pretty strange. You'll find it in several kinds of music, but it's very circumstantial. You just find it somewhere as an accent or as a passing chord, and it doesn't have too many functions really, so we'll look at them in the sound section. But it's just a chord that you should probably learn out of curiosity for chords, and maybe, who knows, one day it's the sound you need in that specific moment. But let's see how it's built with the formula, and then we'll continue. As the name implies, this chord is a Major 7th chord, but with a Sharp 5. It's also an augmented chord, an augmented triad, and here's a link to that video, with a Major 7th added on top. Let's look at it from the point of view of a Major 7th chord, which I think is a bit easier. And if you remember, the Major 7th chord is based on a major triad with a Major 7th on top. All right, so we had the root C, the major 3rd E, the perfect 5th G, and then B, which is the Major 7th, and the Major 7th sits right before the root, 1/2 step before the root, or 1 fret on the guitar. Now from this point on, all we have to do is raise the 5th G to G sharp, and that's it. Very simple. Let me show it to you. We have C as the root, we have E as the major 3rd, G sharp as the augmented 5th, and this is our augmented triad. And on top of all this, we add the B, the Major 7th, right? So again, root C, major 3rd E, augmented 5th, G sharp, and major 7th, B. That's it. There's really not much more to say about this chord, so let's see what it sounds like. It sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? And it is a chord that I can't quite figure out. I certainly don't mind the augmented sound because I really enjoy it and like using it actually, and I like implying it when I'm improvising and composing, but the Major 7th Sharp 5 just seems to be just one step too far for me. But nonetheless, there's a cool use for it, and I'm going to share it with you, and who knows, you never know when you might need it, right? So the use you can have for this chord is going to the 4 of the chord, similar to the augmented triad, but let's go over it again. Let's say you have a progression that's C major going to F major. So between these two chords, or just without the C at all, you can play the C major 7th Sharp 5 into the F. And the reason it works is like this, because you have this sound, right? The major, if you want. This is just a Major 7th chord. Then we raise the 5th to the chord from today's video, the Major 7 Sharp 5, and then the F resolves. And the reason it resolves so well, let me play it again for you. Just the Major 7 Sharp 5 to the F. See, it doesn't sound as ugly. Or without the top string. Right? It gets better when you resolve it, but the reason it works so well is that if we look at the chord C, E, G sharp, B, which is our Major 7 Sharp 5, you see how the E resolves to F, which is the root of F, and the G sharp resolves to A, which is the third of F, and the B resolves to C, which is the fifth of F. So 3 notes move up by half step. And the last note, C, just stays there because C again is part of the chord. And so you get this this feel here for, you know, check out these 3 notes, the E, the G sharp and the B, right? When it goes to F, it goes like this. It's kind of chromatic thing. We go up 1 fret for each of those notes. And you can see it better in this position. Check this out. We have, this is the position for the C major 7th sharp 5. It sounds pretty ugly, right? But then when I resolve it to F, this is our regular good old F major on the 5th string, right? But see what happens here. We have the root here on C, and then we have these 3 notes of the E major 7 sharp 5. If it's not clear 100%, don't worry, because in just a few minutes or even less than that, I will show you the different fingerings for it, and then you can learn them and come back to this section. But you can just see it right on the fretboard. I have my root here and these 3 notes, which make up the chord, right? See what happens when I go to F. These 3 notes move right up chromatically 1 fret. But the root, which is C, resolves like a 5-1, like a dominant resolution. Bam, bam, like G-C, right? In this case, it's C-F. So the mix of these 2 resolutions is very strong, actually. We have this one, the root progression, and then we have the half-step resolution for all the other 3 notes. And the effect is this. So it might not be the most beautiful sound, but it is certainly interesting, and that's the main reason why I wanted to show it to you, because it really does a service to budding guitar players, which is, it makes you think about structure and about purpose and about relationships within chords. So I find it very interesting how 3 notes resolve by half step, but then the root resolves by a 5-1 resolution. So I just thought I'd share it, and so I'm going to show you now where to play it on the fretboard. I'm going to keep things extremely simple today. We'll start from basic major 7th chords and just raise the 5th, all right? So you don't have to study too hard this week. And the first position is, of course, the one here in the open strings, is 3 on the 5th string, which is our root C. Then we have fret 2 on the 4th string, that's E, the major 3rd. And then we play this 1st fret here, which is G sharp, which is our augmented 5th. And on top of all that, we use the B, which is the major 7th. All right, very easy. You could play the 1st string again because it's an E and it fits, but I don't like the sound too much. I prefer it without that, but feel free to try it out for yourself. From here we move again on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, but on this side of the fretboard, and we have our usual major 7th chord, but we raise the 5th, and it goes like this. We have the root again on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, that's C. We go straight to the augmented 5th on the 6th fret of the 4th string. All right, and then we play the major 7th B on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and finally the E, which is the major 3rd, on the 2nd string, 5th fret. Now here you do have to be mindful of the 1st string. Don't play it because that's a regular G, and we are in an augmented G or sharp G, so, or G sharp, better said, an augmented 5th. So make sure you only play the middle strings, and make sure you omit the 1st one. Okay, that's important. And then, as always, let's go to the 8th fret of the 6th string, where this would be our regular major 7th position, but let's make it augmented by simply raising this finger here, and the result is the following. We have C on the 8th fret of the 6th string, and then we have, we skip the 5th string, that's important, we skip that, and then we play 9, 9, and 9 on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, and this gives us our major 7th B, our major 3rd E, and of course the augmented 5th G sharp. And all together, this is the chord. And this is the one that I showed you just a while ago in the sound section, how it resolved to F. All right, so these are 3 positions. You can, if you know a lot of major 7th chords, you probably know a lot of major 7 augmented chords, because you just have to raise the G. Pretty simple. Today I'm going to give you 2 strange scales, and if you want more normal or regular scales, you should definitely check out the augmented triad video that I linked before. All right, but why not? Let's have some fun with 2 kind of weird scales, and they come from the modes of the harmonic and melodic minor scales. And the first one is called the Ionian sharp 5, or Ionian augmented, or sometimes called the major sharp 5. But basically all it is, it's a major scale with a raised 5th, and that's it. So if you have a regular C major scale, you have C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All you have to do now is do C, D, E, F, G sharp, A, B, C. So over this sound, this is the scale. Okay, so it sounds a bit weird because the harmonic minor scale is so strong in character, and this is of course not what we're dealing with here. It's a series about chords, but just as a, just to let you know, the harmonic minor scale is very strong. It has a very distinctive sound. The step and a half here, it's so overwhelming that pretty much all the modes of the harmonic minor sound like the harmonic minor. So this is just a thing you can check out. The next scale is a mode of the melodic minor scale, and it's called Lydian augmented, which again is very simple. If we have a regular Lydian scale, it would be C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. So it's a major scale with a raised 4th. But the Lydian augmented is a Lydian scale with also the 5th that is augmented, and so we have C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C. So sounds a bit more normal because the melodic minor scale takes care of the strange big 3 half-step interval of the harmonic minor. But anyway, this is not something you have to worry about today, as we're studying chords and not scales. But there you go, here's the scale. I'm gonna of course write down the formula for you so you can check it out. But again, over this sound, this will be the scale. So it is a bit peculiar, but you can feel the Lydian but also the augmented. And that's the sound. Something like that, and you should probably practice it. But this is certainly not a chord you jam over, unless you want to, of course, then feel free to do so. And so there it is, the major 7th sharp 5, or the augmented major 7th chord. I think you'll get a kick out of it, and it's a strange chord, but who knows, maybe one day is exactly the sound you will need for whatever song you're working on. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, like, comment. Don't forget that if you want to, I offer online tutoring for people and coaching and lessons depending on your level. We have, from 100% professional musicians to total beginners, and they discover me sometimes through the records, sometimes just here on YouTube, and they think they want something a bit more specific to their needs. So feel free to email me, there's a link down there. If you enjoyed this series of videos also, and everything on this channel, if you want to support it with whatever you can or whatever you want, there's links for that too. There's pretty much links for everything down there. And if not, just simply enjoy watching the videos, and soon we'll reach the end of this series, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty more coming of other things that I might think of. And if you have suggestions for that, for future series and endeavors on this channel, please feel free to use the comments below. Thank you very much for being here as always, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.